drove head high. They shone like the stars in virgin sky. They paid with their lives, made widows of their wives. Only the true have the will to survive.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to Radio Apnea Waz. This is your Sunday afternoon with your host, Abu Mussa. And I'll be going live, alhamdulillah, today with you from the hours of 3 p.m., well, just after 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., inshallah ta'ala. And I hope that all of the listeners around the UK, here in Bradford, Birmingham, Preston, wherever you are, I hope that you are all well and you're surviving this cold weather. I mean, I know it's not been so bad lately, but temperatures are always dipping up and down, aren't they? They're always changing, and we get some good days and we get some extremely cold days, but then we get extremely kind of miserable days as well. And it's surviving these cold periods. I remember reading one classical scholar's statement about the winter months, and was it a statement made by another Muslim imam or scholar that the cold months, the winter months and the dark nights give us more time to remember Allah, to worship Allah. As the salahs are much closer, we do realize that by the time 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock comes around, Isha is prayed, and you have the evening obviously there to contemplate, to remember Allah, to pray those additional prayers, to read Quran. So even though it may be a difficult month in terms of the weather, we should take advantage of this climate and this time to increase our worship of Allah and remembrance of Allah. And also, I do know that, speaking to my parents oftenly and seeing them, that the fasting of the winters, as difficult as they may be because of the cold temperatures, the short hours make them much more easy for those of you that are fasting in the winter months. May Allah reward you guys. So today I just want to give a quick shout out to my son, Muhammad. Muhammad has agreed to come in today and support me with my technical support on the video, with video in today's show, inshallah. So those of you that are going to see this video on social media, my Facebook page and my Instagram page, big shout out to Muhammad. And Muhammad knows that I will always reward him for his good deeds. And when he is reluctantly helping me, is being logged in my memory and remembered. So there we have it, brothers and sisters. I'm going to kick off the show, as always, with a bit of a reflection and my week in review. So give you a quick kind of like overview of some of the things that I've witnessed, I've seen, I've experienced, a bunch of things that might be of some benefit to share with you. And it's not with any other purpose, but to learn some lessons from these experiences that I've had. So the first thing I want to just talk about, and as embarrassing as it may be, and you may think that why would you want to expose yourself and embarrass yourself? Alhamdulillah, I am not one to be embarrassed very easily, and I am truly accepting that there are things that are beyond our control, and there are things that Allah wants us to take from there. So I had an incident a couple of weeks ago where, alhamdulillah, I like to take stock of my budget, of my financial kind of situation on a regular basis. So I always I have a habit of reviewing my finances on a weekly basis, with a view that, look, has there been an overspend? Is there an underspend this week? How am I how many more weeks have I got remaining till the month I get paid? So I like to keep a balance of things. Sometimes, you might incur hidden costs that might happen, and you have to review things for the following weeks, and it requires a bit of diligence from my perspective to be on top of that. In the past, I've been very very nonchalant when it comes to my finances, and I'm not really kind of kept an eye on the ball, and I found myself falling short sometimes because I've not calculated the spending that's been going on. So I think those of you that, alhamdulillah, Allah's blessed you with much wealth, you don't have to worry about these things. Some of us, we have to live each week based upon the income that we have. And I'm not saying in any way that we're struggling or anything like that. Alhamdulillah, Allah's blessed us with much financial resources. But again, it's about being astute with your income and making sure that you are keeping an eye on things. So I regularly check things as I do. And alhamdulillah, I saw that, I was doing very well in terms of the management of the finances. And alhamdulillah, I was in a surplus situation. So me being kind of very happy with myself and, oh yeah, this is great. Monday morning kicks around I head out. Normally, what I do is I always fuel my car up or whatever it be that I need to do for the week or buy my shopping. And I have a certain kind of protocol that I follow in my own kind of habitual practices of my financial management and my budget for the week. So I was fueling up, heading to the petrol station, and lo and behold, I'm putting fuel into my car. Not thinking, not looking. I don't know what was going on in my head, and I don't know what was on my mind at that particular time. My car, I put diesel in my vehicle. But this particular day, I filled my tank up with petrol. And subhanAllah, whilst I'm putting the fuel in, it's not occurring to me that as if, you're putting in unleaded and your car takes diesel. I'm there filling, filling, filling. And I have a budget that I attach to fuel on a weekly basis. And I've got the budget, and I've hit that target. I pull it out, the nozzle, and I'm looking at the thing thinking, subhanAllah, what have I done? I put in unleaded in my car, which takes diesel. So this is really kind of like, one of those moments where you've done something chronically wrong and you feel gutted with yourself. And I was really gutted and I was really annoyed and upset with myself that how could I make such a silly mistake? And anyway, cut a long story short, for those of you that know that once you've made a mistake like that, an error like that, you have to get your tank drained. All the fuel needs to be removed. And if you don't do that, it could cause serious damage on your vehicle. And subhanAllah, obviously, I got a call out straight away. Somebody appeared within half an hour. They drained all my fuel out. The cost of draining the fuel and doing all that process at the end, rounded off, came to about £200 for me that I had to spend in that moment in time, which was a very humbling experience for me because it reminded me that, as much as we like to do things the way we do, and we have a certain function of a certain methodology of doing things, Allah has His own plans for us sometimes on a day, and when we are at His mercy, it makes us realize that how dependent we are upon Him and how we don't control things because we like to be in control. And I think I like to be in control. I'm one of those characters that wants to be in control, but sometimes that reminder does sting a little bit. But it's something that we have to take on the chin and realize that what it was from Allah, and I need to take from that what I need to take and move on. And believe me, brothers and sisters, I was very, very humbled. It's one of those things. I don't know, what you are like in situations. Some people over stress, and I am one of those that holds myself to account. And I am very disappointed in myself at times, but I think I didn't want to overbeat myself because I had to accept the fact that look, it was a mistake you made. It was maybe something that was in my control because I didn't have to pick up that wrong nozzle and put it into my vehicle. But at that moment in time, my brain did not kind of like navigate itself correctly, and nor did it take it do the right action at that particular time. So, subhanallah, that was it was a rude awakening for me. So yeah, after getting over that, as I was talking about, brothers and sisters, one of those experiences in life, it could have manifested itself in many other ways where a hidden cost comes into your lifestyle that you don't expect, and it does sting you a little bit, and it did sting me, but alhamdulillah, I bounce back as you do. Okay, so and just one more thing I wanna highlight also here, brothers and sisters. I have my special secret juice here with me that I wanna maybe share the contents with you of what I'm actually drinking in here. And it's a very good cocktail of drinks that the drink that I've made. And what I like to do with my drinks, I don't make just water on its own these days, but I like to add various supplements into my drink. And this today, what I've added today is glutamine, which is an amino acid that we sometimes our body doesn't produce enough of, and it does help in terms of recovery and repair when you are physically exerting yourself and you're working hard, training hard. Glutamine is a really good supplement to add into your diet. You might not get it in your food groups enough, but you can buy it as a supplement and add it via a powder into your drink, or you can add it orally through tablets. So I've got glutamine in here. I've got creatine in here. Creatine is another very good supplement that you can find in red meat. But again, the quantities of creatine that you will find is not sufficient in there. So I add that. Again, creatine is very good for the brain, which I do need because my brain is kind of sometimes disintegrating, can move the camera if you need to wake up there. Okay, so yeah, creatine is another really important supplement that I add. It's also good for muscular endurance, muscular kind of like uh, the activity of the muscles. It's got a lot of good benefits as creatine. On top of that, I've also had magnesium in there, and magnesium is another important mineral that the body needs and body requires. So that's a key element that I've added to this as well, inshallah. And was there anything? Vitamin C was the last thing that I did. Of course, you all know benefits of vitamin C. But that is my little cocktail drink that I've created there. And that's kind of like a post workout or during the day. I often consume that just to give me that extra kick that I need to keep me going at my grand stage in my life. Okay. Shall we go for a quick little ad break there, and we'll come back with some more further discussions, inshallah.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Eating, got enough glories and joy, Do you want it? Gardens of paradise in heaven. Eating, got enough paradise. Do you want it? Gardens of paradise in heaven. Have you ever wished for a life full of joy? No sorrow, no sadness, no pain, and no toil. Have you ever wished for an everlasting life? Companions of beauty and a home in paradise. Do you want it? Gardens of paradise in heaven. Do you want it? Gardens of paradise in heaven. Everybody want to go to paradise. You need to give a little bit of sacrifice in the way. Shuba Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Eating. Got enough glories and joy. Do you want it? Gardens of paradise.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome back to the Sunday afternoon with your host, Brother Abu Musa. We are going live here on Radio Apnea Was. You can catch us on digital radio, and you can download the app and access us wherever you are throughout this continent, throughout this world, actually, yeah? Inshallah. So, just before the short little break that I took, I was discussing something, but I'm going to shift now and move on to something else. I want to talk about, I'm still within the review of the weeks, what I've gained, what I've learned from those experiences. So I want to talk about business and business ethics and manner and character. I think it's a problem that we have amongst our community, amongst the Muslim community. And I'm not saying this across the board, because I've had some really positive experiences with Muslim businesses from the interactions that we've had. I can talk about some, I can recall some Muslims that I've engaged with in terms of business. They've given, alhamdulillah, they give a very superb service. Their manner, their character, the way they've dealt with me, the way they've dealt in terms of the service, in terms of the product, really impressed me, alhamdulillah. And, I can see that the new generation of Muslims, even the older generation, I think there are some really sincere Muslims who understand what business is all about. Because when we look at the Prophet ﷺ, we know from his character that he was one of the greatest businessmen throughout history. That when he worked for Khadija radiallahu anha and became her one of her employees, he excelled in the business. He excelled in her business. He made her business grow as a result of him adding himself to his trading. Can you please get off my jacket? Come on. So we can see from all of this, from the habits of the Prophet ﷺ, we can see how his noble character, his noble kind of practices as a businessman set the standard of what business conduct should be and what a business character should be of. So, subhanallah, like I said, I'm not gonna hate on the Muslim community here, but I know as of lately, the Muslim community, and I'm not, again, maybe I can say and say not the Pakistani community that I live with, live amongst. They have developed a bit of a notorious reputation, and again, I'm talking from experience here, from my interactions with people in business. And something amazing is that rizq is from Allah. We know that, and there's people out there that are very successful and they've got successful businesses, and Allah's blessed them with so much wealth. But it doesn't mean Allah's blessed them with good character and good mannerisms and good conduct, because that's something that you take control of. And the problem is that when you become extremely wealthy and you don't recognize Allah in that process, and you think that you are something amazing, that you have created this wealth yourself, you forget to line your character with that success, and that's the danger. And my unfortunate experiences with some people, the tone of voice they use, the condescending language they use, even the way they do business with you, but it has no aftercare, where they say, we'll sell you a product, but don't come back to me if you've got any problems with this product, because I'm not going to do anything for you. And that straight away causes a red flag for me, that you're selling me a product and you're saying to me that once you've bought it and you've left my premises, don't come back to me. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to do anything for you. I'm not going to take it back. This is kind of alarming, really. So it makes you think that, should I do business with this individual? He's giving me a lot of concerning kind of like comments here that should put me off and make me run away. And for me, I guess maybe I'm very particular in business. So when I engage with somebody, or I want to purchase something from somebody, then I like to kind of like get a quality service, because if I'm gonna give you my money, I want you to win my kind of respect more than anything, because I know that I've made a good transaction with you, because you've interacted with me in the right way. You've kind of given me the service that I wanted, the reassurance that I wanted, all the doubts and queries that I have in my mind. You've addressed them. You've put solace in my heart, and you slowly, subtly allowed the money to slip out of my hands. I know at the end of the day, whatever transaction takes place, the rizq is in Allah's hands, and He's the one who determines whether you separate that cash from your pocket and you give to that business. But what is important is that you, as a businessman, you've conducted yourself in the utmost respectable manner, because you've got to remember, the world of business is a ruthless world. And when you go out there and you're buying things or you're looking to purchase things, you, as a representative of that business, you are the brand, you are the product of that business. And if you come across in some kind of dubious way, or some kind of you create doubt in your character, or doubt in the way you address people, then you are really kind of like putting question marks in my head whether I should be doing business with you. And that shouldn't be the case. One of the things that I've learned through my kind of service that I offer, and just for those of you that don't know, I do a lot of personal training, and I've worked with many clients. And I think the key thing is, when you're delivering a service, there's an expectation from you. It's not a case I'm taking your money off you and I'm just gonna deliver the minimum. No, I have to deliver over and beyond what I can. So there has to be a lot of genuinity, a lot of honesty, a lot of transparency in the way you conduct your business affairs. Remember, they are people, and they are parting with their money, giving to you because they've bought into you, and they've recognized that you have something that they want. And it's how you make that exchange, that remuneration. So your client, your person who's a receiver of your service, they are happy. They're walking away feeling, alhamdulillah, I've paid this individual the money. I feel happy with that. And that is really critical for me. I don't want to take your money if you're not happy with the service I've given you. I'd rather keep my integrity and my honor than just take your money and say, I've made some cash off this guy. I've made some money off this individual. That's the wrong attitude to have, because I recognize that as you mature and as you understand the concepts of Islam, you recognize that whatever is for you will stay with you, and whatever is not yours, you will never get, you will never receive. And when you recognize this concept, and you accept it. Because some people can't accept certain things, and they will say, "Oh, I've just made this transaction. I've sold these goods for £1,000." And the customer comes back and says, "I'm not happy with the product. I want my money back." Then you're always reluctant to give money back, and you don't want to give it, and you argue your case, and you try to put that individual off. Look, if a customer's not happy with the service you've offered them or the product you've given them, then they're entitled to have that money back. We recently purchased some doors from an English company, and in the course of the purchase, we decided that we wanted to give it back. We weren't happy with what decision we'd made, and it wasn't the fact that we were, the service we received wasn't up to standard or anything like that. We received a great service. They were very well mannered, very well spoken, very well looked after, and they didn't have an issue with giving the money back. There was no argument, no qualms. They were very mature and very business minded that they could give their money back straight away. And this is the thing that I find sometimes with Muslims, is that they create barriers for themselves, and I think it's important that we have that Islamic mindset when it comes to money and it becomes to business. It's important to accept that when we accept Islam as our yardstick and we measure good and bad practices according to Islam, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put barakah in our business. And whatever, as I said, whatever doesn't come in our direction, we should accept that. And this is the importance. And when you come across individuals who are very bitter and their service drops and declines as a result of it, to me it says a lot about their character. That if you don't have any integrity, you don't have any kind of like you don't have any clout about your personality, then your business speaks for itself. And if it declines and goes down, then it is what it is. And for those that flourish, they accept that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's a razaqeen. He gives the rizq to everyone. But in that process, you have a role to play, and it's important that you fulfill that. And I'm not having a little beef here, but I want us to kind of remember that. Look, why did Islam spread in the places like China, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, those far eastern kind of corners? It was because of the Muslim traders that went out there. They went out there and engaged with the non-Muslims out there through business, through commerce, and because of the standard that they set, because of that high elevated standard and service and quality they received, you saw that these people embraced Islam. They embraced it through what? Through that interaction. And that's something that we need to remember, that we are giving dawah, even though it wouldn't be classed as dawah. But when a non-Muslim comes to us and we give them a good quality service, they walk away and thinking, he's a Muslim. And the first thing that comes to mind of a non-Muslim is when they get a bad service. Oh, he was a Muslim guy. That's what I remember about him. He was rude, and he tried to kind of like overcharge me, and he wouldn't do X, Y, and Z. So, we need to remember it's important that we carry that slogan wherever we go. And I also kind of like just remind you of a beautiful incident in the time of Umar al-Khattab. I think it was an incident where, correct me if I'm wrong when I'm telling you this, that he was walking to the marketplace and he overheard the story of a girl whose, I think, mother said to her that, look, I want you to water down the milk. I want you to water down the milk so we can make more money from that. And the daughter replied to the mother and she says, no, I can't do this. She goes, why not? Look, who's going to find out? She goes, Allah is watching me. Allah is watching me, and I don't want to do this. And subhanAllah, they say Umar ibn Khattab, he heard about this story and he heard about this individual. And he got his son to marry this girl because he knew that she was sincere and she was pious and righteous. This is very important, that we don't just look at righteous actions in terms of forms of worship, that, oh, he's righteous because he prays to Allah and he does this and does that. But yet his conduct outside of the masjid is that he doesn't know how to talk to nobody. He's rude. He doesn't know how to sort of like, be polite, and doesn't have no manners. This is not the nature of the Muslim. If you are submitting to Allah, then you should be also, mindful of your mannerisms and your character. Okay, I think we will take another short little break on that note, inshallah, and come back with some further conversations. Assalamu alaikum.
Gotta give, let's do what we should do so we can see before we leave. day is going up. Small deeds can change many lives. How can I sleep? How can I dream of that day? What will we say? Ya Rabbi, ifili on that day. What will we say? Ya Rabbi, ifili. Somewhere out there tonight, someone is cold outside. How can I sleep?
آمنت بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر والقدر خيره وشره.
Oh, mountains of Mecca, what can you say of the day that Abraham passed your way? And he was instructed by God to build a house of peace where people will pray, and they will come on every lean camel and out of every ravine for the purpose of praising Allah, to glorify Allah. Oh, mountains of Mecca, what can you tell of the day that stones from the sky fell, destroying an army determined to break the house of Allah that Abraham built? Oh, mountains of Mecca, how was the dawn on the day that my prophet Muhammad was born? How did it feel knowing he was to be the last and most beloved of all? Rasul of Allah, Nabi of Allah. Oh, mountains of Mecca, you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome back to Radio Apnea Waz. This is your Sunday afternoon show with your brother Abu Musa. And that was Zayn Bika with Mountains of Makkah. One of my favorite nasheeds, actually. I can recall listening to that many, many times. And it always kind of, now that I visited Makkah and I've been there and I've seen the mountains of Makkah, alhamdulillah, it brings the whole nasheed to life for me, even further, even more. And I want to carry on with the show because there's a couple of things that I want to wrap up before, because we have a bit of a short show today. Maghrib Salah is approaching fastly. As you're aware, we are kind of at the most earliest times of Maghrib. I think Maghrib is going to be around 3:50, 3:50 something, I think, or maybe 40 something, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I want to try to work up that time as quick as I can. A couple of things I want to quickly shout out before I forget, and I get into conversation and I don't remember, was the big Syrian revolution that took place. And alhamdulillah, we know that the Muslims of Syria have overthrown the evil dictatorship regime of Bashar al-Assad. And this is a moment for the Muslim Ummah to joy and be happy with, because we see change. And I want to highlight a couple of things here for us before I move on to the next subject. I want to talk about the fact that there is a revivalist movement going on, and Muslims are calling for Islam. And we can see that the call for democracy, the call for communism, the call for all the different systems and dictatorships that have governed the Muslim world are starting to fall. And there is an air of change that is taking place. And Muslims, what are they calling for? They're calling for a change of nizam, a change of system. And what is the system that they want? They want the system based upon the Quran and Sunnah. Now, alhamdulillah, this is a positive sign for the Muslim world, because no matter what the critics will say and the West will say, we as Muslims need to take control of our own political destiny and the political narrative that we want to push. Doesn't matter how much the media will operate against this narrative, because they will, and they will use all of their harsh tactics and strategies to demonize what is taking place and what is happening in the Muslim world. But for us as Muslims, we should recognize that, this change is a sign for the ummah to wake up, for us to wake up. And it's not the case that we need to sit and look at ourselves and the wrongs that we do, as some people mention, and some people might say, oh, but brother, you need to become a better Muslim. You're not the right Muslim yet. You're not doing X, Y, and Z. Look, the reality is no human being on this earth will ever be a perfect Muslim. But establishing Islam, establishing the rule of Allah is a fard, okay? Is an obligation upon the Muslims. That overrides everything else. Because you as a human being and character, you will have flaws. And those flaws will remain with you until the day you leave this earth. But establishing something that is obligatory is a must, and it must be done not with delay, but with immediate effect. And that's the thing we don't understand, because people think until the society is perfect, only then can you apply Islam. But the thing is, it's the opposite. The Prophet ﷺ, he established Islam upon society, and through the systems of Islam, he nurtured and built those societies, and he improved those societies. But those societies were never perfect because they still committed wrong. But the punishment system was right. But what is the issue here? The issue is that we establish the law of Allah upon the earth, and that is the command from Allah that we have. And I think it's important that we stop having this fatalistic mentality. We stop having this kind of negative mindset that, oh, why would you want to bring back old barbaric rules? Why would you want to, live according to a system that was established 1400 years ago? That system that was established 1400 years ago was a revelation, which is a revelation, is part of our Aqidah, part of our belief. We cannot detach that belief from our practice in our daily lives. If you're saying you believe in Allah and you are a Muslim, then what is it you want that is not from Islam to govern the people? What is it that is going to bring justice and kind of raise the level of the people to such a degree where we need to be? And we've seen the failure of democracies, secularism, communism, all the different Baathism, all the different ideologies that have governed the the Muslim world. And what we have seen in the Muslim world is dictatorships that are being funded and sponsored by the West to carry out their oppressive systems, to impoverish the people, to feed off the wealth and resource of that society. And who benefits? It's the Western colonial projects and the Western investors that are benefiting from the Ummah's resources, and the Ummah is receiving nothing from this. SubhanAllah, there was the horrific stories that came out of the torture prisons of Sadnaya prison. And for those of you that have not heard, I urge you to go and watch and listen to some of the cases that have come out of that prison. Some people, subhanAllah, some of our sisters that have been raped inside those prisons, they have given birth to children that have never witnessed a day outside of those prisons. And we sit here comfortably living in this environment and this society, but we don't know, and we're not aware of the horrific actions that are taking place. So inshallah, that's something for us to remember. And I think I'm approaching fastly the time of Adhan time. So inshallah, I will play that now, and here we go.
Got enough glories and joy, enough glories and joy.
Do you want it? Gardens of paradise. Have it.
Eden. Got enough paradise, got enough paradise.
Do you want it? Gardens of paradise. Have it.
Eden. Got enough happiness,
Do you want it? You can have it.
was so far from you, yet to me you were always so close. I wandered lost in the dark. I closed my eyes to all the signs you put in my way. I walked every day further and further away from you. Ooh, Allah, you brought me home. I thank you with every breath I take. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, all praises to Allah, all praises to Allah. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, all praises to Allah, all praises to Allah. I never thought about all the things you have given to me. I never thanked you once. I was too proud to see the truth and prostrate to you until I took the first step, and that's when you opened the doors for me. Now, Allah, I realize what I was missing.
हर आफत से बचाना मौला
नबी की याद है फरमाया गम के मारों का याद नबी का लगी वाले
रेडियो अपनी आवाज। नमाज मोमिन की मेराज है, नमाज का एहतमाम कीजिए। ब्रैडफोर्ड और उसके गिरदनवाह में अजान का वक्त हो चुका है। दूसरे इलाकों के रहने वाले अपने मकामी वक्त के मुताबिक नमाज अदा करें।
अल्लाहु अकबर अल्लाहु अकबर अल्लाहु अकबर अल्लाहु अकबर अशहदु अन ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح
حي على الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوصيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وبعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
ए अल्लाह, इस दावत कामिल और ता कयामत खड़ी होने वाली नमाज के रब, तू हमारे सरदार मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम को वसीला और फजीलत और बुलंद दर्जा अता फरमा और उनको उस मुकामे महमूद पर फाइज फरमा जिसका तूने उनसे वादा फरमाया है, और हमें कयामत के दिन उनकी शफात से बहरमंद फरमा। बेशक तू अपने वादे के खिलाफ नहीं करता।
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد.
ए अल्लाह, रहमत नाजिल फरमा मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम पर और मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की आल पर, जैसा कि तूने रहमत नाजिल फरमाई इब्राहीम अलैहिस्सलाम पर और इब्राहीम अलैहिस्सलाम की आल पर। बेशक तू बड़ी तारीफ वाला, बुजुर्गी वाला है। ए अल्लाह, बरकत नाजिल फरमा मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम पर और मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की आल पर, जैसा कि तूने बरकत नाजिल फरमाई इब्राहीम अलैहिस्सलाम पर और इब्राहीम अलैहिस्सलाम की आल पर। बेशक तू बड़ी तारीफ वाला, बुजुर्गी वाला है।
Are you ready to make a difference this winter? Listen up. Imagine waking up to the piercing cold without a blanket. That's the reality for families in Neelam Valley. But you can change that. For just £15, you can provide a warm blanket to someone in desperate need. A single blanket can bring comfort, warmth and hope. Alubadia Orphanage is calling on you to help us spread warmth this winter. Your donation can make all the difference. Donate £15 today and transform lives. Reach out to Alubadia Orphanage through Barclays Bank, account 935153889, sort code 203584. For more information, call 077-860-0505. Let's bring warmth to Neelam Valley, one blanket at a time.
मकान भी खरीदना, मार्गेज भी किन्नी, इंश्योरेंस भी करानी, वो बहुत सारे एजेंट है। मैं केड़े जाई तिके खान
तुसा ने दुश्मन योर चॉइस है कुल जुलो ना। मकान खरीदना हुआ, मॉर्गेज किननी हुआ या इंश्योरेंस करानी हुआ, इन्ना सारियां कमा वास्ता इक्का ही ना।
Your Choice Estate Agents, who provide #1 service for all types of residential and commercial sales, lettings, property management. They'll also arrange mortgages, insurance, immigration reports, property repairs and much, much more. Your Choice Estate Agents, Toller Lane Roundabout, Bradford 01274 493333.
आप शॉपिंग गए थे, इतनी देर लगा दी, कहाँ घूमते रहे?
क्या बतलाऊं, कितना कुछ तो लेना था, कभी एक दुकान में तो कभी दूसरी दुकान में।
तो इतनी जगहों में घूमने की क्या जरूरत थी, एक ही जगह जाते। अबू बकर सुपरमार्केट। जी हाँ, अबू बकर सुपरमार्केट, जहाँ से मिले जरूरियाती जिंदगी की हर एक चीज एक ही छत के नीचे। मसलन आटा, दाल, चावल, ताज़ा सब्जियाँ और फल, ताज़ा हलाल गोश्त, पोल्ट्री और मछली, टेक अवे और रेस्टोरेंट के लिए होलसेल कीमतें। पूरे लीड्स में हमारी कीमतों का कोई भी मुकाबला नहीं कर सकता। ऑनलाइन ऑर्डर और डिलीवरी की सहूलत मौजूद है, तो आज ही आए अबू बकर सुपरमार्केट।
You're listening to the amazing sounds of Radio Apnea Vaz. Tomorrow's radio today. There is no comparison.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to Radio Apnea Waz. This is your Sunday afternoon with your host, Abu Musa. And we took a short little break there just to pray our Maghrib Salah. Hope that you have too. So, inshallah, we are back on air and we're in the last segment of the show. So, I will try to wrap things up as quick as I can because we do have another live show after my show, inshallah ta'ala. So before Maghrib Salah, I think I was just touching upon the issue of Syria. And I think it's important that for those critics out there that will commentate and make comments about, oh, how will you establish Islam? You don't have any, system, you don't have ruling, you guys are kind of like, X, Y, and Z. I think people often forget that Prophet ﷺ, he established a complete framework of ruling, constitutions there, canons there, the entire system was in place. We don't need to recreate anything here. Is the society ready? Is the society ready? Is that a question that you ask? I mean, let's look at history. Let's look at the way when new ideologies or new systems of governance come into power, they never prepared the society for it. When communism came in to China, Russia, it was forced into those nations. And the same thing we see throughout history, that when the kings were ruling Europe and what have you, when the whole what do they call it now? It's kind of gone out of my head. When the whole revolution took place and change took place, it wasn't anything that society was ready for. Society doesn't need to know every detail about change. Those people in power, when they come into power, they never inform the entire society. They never prepare the entire society. They take over and they begin and establish new order in that society. So those people who will make comments that, oh, the Ummah is not ready, we're not praying, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. Look, Allah has made an obligation upon you to establish the rule. Now, the reality is the system that will encourage and develop that society to become more of a God-conscious society, because that's how change takes place. You don't wait for people to change. This was not the methodology of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, Rasulullah established the rule, and from there, the rules were, the revelations came. But we know now we have an entire system there. But anyway, I wanted to just touch on that note and wrap up on that point there, that we have an air of change. So we need to look at this in a positive light. And what we need to take away is that, look, the reality of the Muslim world and the Muslim rulers is that they're all agents, okay, of the West. They are all sponsored by the West in some degree, and they are fulfilling some of the wants and realities of the Western nations. So we should understand that first and foremost. The rulers in place are not serving the people. Their position is merely one of dictatorship, one of kingship for the society. They may have created a society where citizens are living and being looked after, but their sole purpose is not to serve the ummah. And this is what we are calling for and we are wanting. So I think we need to understand that the reality of society and the world is changing. Western nations are familiar and aware of the call for change in the Muslim world, and we need to be part of that. We need to understand that, and we need to promote and advocate that here in the West. So that's my kind of 10 pence worth on that issue. There will be more that I can say on this, but I'm just conscious of time, and time is steadily drifting away and passing by. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I can touch on here. I think on a last note, maybe might be worth. Actually, I don't think I'll get enough time to do so. But inshallah ta'ala, I think I'll wrap up the show at that point there. So there were a lot of other things that I wanted to discuss, but time, as always, seems to be not on my side, as the song goes. So I hope that you all have a good week, inshallah. And I hope to be here on air next Sunday, inshallah ta'ala. So this is me signing out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is our return. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah.
Every time I think about it, it hurts me to know. How can I sleep? How can I dream? If it was my own children out in the world, how could I be when they're in need? Let's join our hands up now. Let's give like we gotta give. Let's do what we should do so we can see before we leave. Every day is going by. Small deeds can change many lives. How can I sleep? How can I dream?